Yep. Okay, so I will call the meeting to order of the Norfolk County Advisory Board Finance Committee. The executive order on remote participation on Wednesday, March 29th, 2023. Governor Healy signed into law Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, an act making appropriations for fiscal year 2023, which includes a 2-year extension on the option for public bodies to hold remote meetings by suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20. That action was effective immediately, extending the current option for remote meetings through March 31st, 2025. So once again, we will call the meeting to order. We'll take the roll call. Dr. Childs?
Here.
Barbara?
Here.
Joe?
Here.
And I think Paul is trying to come in, and Eric Beckman, I'm the chair, and I am here as well. So we are going to be we're going to start off with an executive session. I want to welcome our attorney, Attorney Lopez. Thank you for joining us today. And both the commissioners, Mr. Stady and Commissioner Collins. Nice to see both you guys.
Nice to be here.
So
I will take
Eric, you need a motion to
Yep,
go
I
into
need a
executive
motion.
session?
Motion for an executive session.
And if you could, I think we have to read the reason why we're going into executive session as part of the motion.
Yep. So we're gonna convene in executive session pursuant to Purpose 3, Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, subsection 21A and 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares. The chair does declare an executive session is in order. So I will take a motion to go into an executive session.
So moved.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, roll call vote. Dr. Childs?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. So we will go into executive session. So Bill, if you can please stop the recording and prepare that for us. Okay, so we are back in open session. I'm just waiting for the email from the director.
Right now.
So while we're waiting, do we want to do some of the minutes?
Sure. Yeah.
All right, then I
Yeah,
will
let's
take,
do that.
so I will take a motion to, on the minutes of open session for July 5th.
So moved. Second.
So we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, Dr. Childs,
Aye.
Barbara,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. So a motion on the minutes of executive session meeting of July 5th.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, Dr. Childs,
Aye.
Barbara,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Might as well get through these last two, right?
Yep.
So motion, I'll take a motion for the minutes on open session of meeting of May 16th.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, Dr. Childs,
Aye.
Barbara,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
chair votes aye. And take a motion on the executive session meeting minutes of May 16th.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, Dr. Childs,
Aye.
Barbara,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Okay. So I just received the motions. So the motion for the Quincy Court is the same amount, 10,400,000?
Yeah.
That is,
That was both the commissioners, yes.
Right, John?
Yes,
That's correct.
that's
Okay.
correct, Eric.
all right, so,
Excuse me, Mr. Beckerman?
yes,
This is Marguerite Lee from the registry, and before you move on, I just, when you get to the second or part B of item 4, I was hoping I could address the group momentarily.
when we get there, Marguerite, I will give you 2 minutes to address the board.
That's great. Thank you so much.
All right, so we are meeting to discuss 2 separate transfers and for a recommendation to the full advisory board at the 5 o'clock meeting. We'll go through the first one. The first one is the proposed transfer of the money from the sale of Quincy District Court, or the Francis Bellotti District Court, to the Commonwealth of Mass. Does anybody have any questions or comments on that transfer? Director Cronin, do you have anything to add on this?
Not at this time.
Okay, so I'll read through the motion. The proposed motion would be to transfer $10,400,000 to the County Capital Improvement Fund. Said funds having been recently wired to the county on behalf of the sale of the Francis X. Bellotti District Court to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So we'll take a motion here to recommend this transfer to the full advisory board.
So moved.
Second,
So we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor, Dr. Childs? Barbara?
Yes.
Joe?
aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Okay, we are now moving on to item 4B. I'll read what the proposal is, and then Marguerite, I'll give you 2 minutes to speak.
Thank you.
So the motion to support the county treasurer to transfer $3,825,529.22 from the deeds excise fund to the county general fund restricted account as required by Mass General Law, Section 35. I'm sorry, Chapter 35, Section 28B H. So first, I'm going to ask the advisory, or I'm sorry, the finance committee. Are there any questions or comments from the finance committee first?
No,
No.
No. Paul? Okay.
No.
All right. So Marguerite, I'll give you the floor for 2 minutes.
Okay, am I being timed?
Yeah, actually you are.
Well, I appreciate that, Mr. Chair, and I also appreciate the fact that the county commission has allowed the register to speak on this issue, just a couple hours ago. This matter is de novo for us. We haven't reviewed it, and frankly, the agenda didn't give us a precise heads up as to what was going to be done. Earlier today, the county commissioners talked about this transfer. They mentioned, I believe, $3.8 million. I know the figure that we had from our trial balance was $4.2 million. So I'd like some clarification on that. I don't expect it now, but, certainly before the full board votes on this. I think in December, the county director said this fund was $3.8 million. We questioned that. And Assistant Treasurer Joe Diaria said it was, in fact, $4.2 million. So I would like to know the exact amount, and if it was 4.2 in December or January, where is the extra $300,000 difference? The second point is the discussion this afternoon focused on the fact that this was an appropriation. Deeds excise, and we're talking about the transfer of deeds excise. Deeds excise is a creature of the state legislature. It is not an appropriation of the advisory board. So I just want to pose that issue. This is not an appropriation, as snow removal is an appropriation that should go back to the general fund when not spent. This is its own animal, and it's been treated as such for, the register has better information on that, but at least the last 13 years, that I've been here, it's been treated as a special fund, not an appropriation. And that being said, if it is a special fund, what stops this administration, future administrations, advisory boards from spending any special fund? Would this be, you know, say the special Norfolk Aggie Fund? Could then they transfer that to the general fund and convert those monies as well? This is treated as a designated fund. It is not an appropriation of the advisory board. And the third issue that came up during the county commissioners meeting was the aspect of a restriction on this. There seemed to be not disagreement, but some questions by Commissioner Stady that would this be a restricted fund? Certainly, 64D treats it as a restricted fund. Would this lose any protections, or could it be spent in any manner? Could it be spent in the 4 million or 3.8 million? Could it be spent for the golf course with one act? So what are the protections going forward? Again, the register has said it before, and I'm sure everyone's sick of hearing it, that this money was accumulated over several years. That being said, does it totally lose the protections now that it had under several administrations? And that's, I guess, the main issue now is this isn't an appropriation of this advisory board. So I just wanted, you know, to put that out for this board to consider these three aspects. And again, we're looking for a thorough accounting of the money. We've requested different accounting during the course of the year in terms of the tech fund, indirect charges, and we'd like an accounting of this as well. I appreciate your time. I know this is your meeting and I respect that, but I did want to pose these three main points to you. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Marguerite, for your comments. I will say one comment I'll make before I'll turn it over to the director for any comments is that the designation of the fund, whether it's appropriated money or accumulated money, I don't think is the question here. The question that is before us is what we're going to do with it for right now. Right now, the point is that we're taking that the motion or the intention is to take the money from the deeds excise account and put it into a general fund account that will be restricted from any use until certain decisions are made by the courts through the cases that are pending. So I'll turn. I hope that I don't know if that clears it.
I don't want to go back and forth.
I'm going to turn it over to Director Cronin for any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you.
Comments.
Thank you, Mr. Beckerman. First to the question on this number. This number came to us via the Norfolk County Treasurer's Office. The available balance is less certain expenditures that were made against this account in FY23. I believe we had several supplemental items that went against the balance of 4.2 that started the year. But to be sure, this number originated by the County Treasurer's Office, and I received an email last week memorializing this exact amount that sits there as of today. This amount does not include the receipts that were received earlier this afternoon from the Registry of Deeds. I guess I will fall back on some simple words that we used earlier. We see this as county funds, and as thus the county funds need to, pursuant to Chapter 35, be swept by the county treasurer into the general fund at the end of the year. Thus the need for this action today. If you read Chapter 35, it specifically calls out July 10th as the closing date, thus the need for this action. And as Mr. Beckerman just indicated, and Commissioner Stady did earlier today, these funds will be put into a general fund restricted account, which of course, like any general fund, is subject to appropriation, but we have no intention to act upon or seek any appropriation against those funds until the lawsuit is addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Director.
Mike Bellotti here too. Is it appropriate for me, Mr. Chairman, to just say a few words?
Absolutely, Treasurer Bellotti, you have the floor.
Thank you. Joe, you're on the phone, right? Joe?
I am.
Okay,
Oh, hi, Joe.
Marguerite, I'm gonna ask you to feel free to, in detail, just explain those questions regarding the conflicting balances. But I'll say this, I've been in a retirement board meeting most of the afternoon. Scott Lopez has sent me a legal opinion. I haven't actually seen the motion yet, but I'm gonna go back on tonight and listen for the first time to the commissioners meeting, and then we'll take appropriate steps. And understand the intent of the commissioners and their position on this. So I will, we'll be deliberating over the next 24 hours, Joe and I, possibly with Scott Lopez and even another lawyer I have looking at this issue just to make sure we do it right. I think in essence, though, folks to be comfortable is nobody's spending this money. There is a pending legal case. So we are going to be careful, how we approach this as that case pens, in that everybody will be held harmless based on what their perceived legal position is once that case is decided, if that makes sense. So, I think as a treasurer, I can guarantee you whatever we do, once I read Scott Lopez's findings, and maybe even have another lawyer look at it quickly with the budgeted money I have in legal, which I haven't spent yet, and do something administratively, that I will guarantee that, once that case is decided, that money will remain in, whole. So that's kind of our position. And Joe, please feel free to add what John Cronin alluded to in terms of the numbers you gave him.
Sure. The main difference, Marguerite, is that the advisory board through the course of the year took out 284,000 for various reasons, including some transfers that went to your own budget. And then there's a small, like 10,000 is just the net of last year's reserves returning back to your fund versus the new reserves from this year and the capital that's returning back, unused capital that's returning back. And you'll see that on the year-end report when I'm done with it.
Okay, thank you.
So basically, the bottom line here right now is that the finance committee we're looking to make a recommendation to the full NCAB board on what to do with these funds, as far as where to park the funds. There is no intention of using these funds at this point. I'm sorry? Oh, I thought somebody else chimed in. So I guess the question right now is really on the advice of all of us. It's basically to correct a past problem. Each year, these monies should have been swept into the general fund, and that was not being done. So we're fixing a past problem is what we're doing here. So that being said, I will take we'll do these as separate motions. So I'll take a motion of the Finance Committee to recommend to the full Norfolk County Advisory Board on the on the sale of the Quincy Court, to recommend that we transfer $10,400,000 to the County Capital Improvement Fund from the proceeds of the sale of the Quincy District Court.
Didn't we already do that, Eric?
I'm sorry?
We already took a vote on that, right?
Yes.
Oh, we are.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
We're
Sorry,
ready
I'm
to go
sorry.
on to two. You want to take
Yeah,
a number
I
two?
apologize.
That's all right.
Okay, so I will take a motion then to support the county treasurer and the county commissioners to
Okay.
transfer $3,825,529.22 from the deeds excise fund to the county general fund restricted account as required by Mass General Law, Chapter 35, Section 28B and H.
Could we So change moved. it? Yeah, could I make a friendly amendment to that, Eric? It's actually to support the county treasurer and to, it's really just agreeing with the county commissioners. It's really, we're not supporting them. We don't need to support them. We're just agreeing with them.
Are we actually, John, as a matter of opinion, a matter of point. Are we supporting the county treasurer, or are we actually directing the
We
treasurer
don't have the
and,
authority to direct the county treasurer. We
I'm
only
sorry?
have the we don't have the authority to direct the county treasurer. We have the authority to make the fiscal recommendation to support him in his role.
Oh, okay.
Can I-
all right.
He has to
Can the
actually do the
county
transfer.
treasurer say something?
Please.
So I've never ever stated exactly where I am in any platform officially on this. So I will take all the information that I'm gaining tonight and, make a decision, because I'm not officially have any position on this. But, if you recommend that I look at this and, you're basically, in essence, your lawyer, Scott Lopez, is saying legally, in essence, that I shall, not may, shall, based on the laws, sweep out that account. And I think what the Registry of Deeds is saying that what is an appropriation and what is a deeds revenue source that has nothing to do with that law. So I'm going to have to figure that out in the next couple of days. I have an opinion on it, but I want to be sure about it. But your lawyer, who clearly advises you, and I have shown deference to in terms of his perspective with the county over the years I worked with him, but still I have to take a quick legal look at this. I have not recommended anything to anybody at this point. So, weigh
Okay.
that.
Thank
So
you,
maybe,
treasurer.
maybe we should keep our motion clean, Eric, and just say motion to support the county treasurer to transfer,
Right.
and leave the commissioner's motion clean as well, which I think that motion was the exact same wording.
Okay, I'm sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
Yep,
Let's keep
you're
it
right.
clean. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then I'm going to take a motion to support the county treasurer to transfer $3,825,529.22 from the deeds excise fund to the county general fund restricted account as required by Mass General Law, Chapter 35, Section 28B and H.
That sounds good.
I'm sorry?
That sounds good. Barbara, is that your motion?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't hear. Okay, so I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, roll call vote. Dr. Childs,
Aye.
Barbara,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. So we will make recommendation on both of those transfers. Do we have any other business or any other topics we need to discuss prior to adjournment? Seeing none, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
So we got a motion and a second to adjourn the Finance Committee meeting. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Dr. Childs,
Aye.
Barbara,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. So I will see everybody at the full advisory board meeting in half an hour.
Hello,
Let's go.
everybody.
Hello.
We're getting everybody in.
Yep.
Give us just a couple minutes here to get everybody in. Welcome, Patricia.
Thank you.
God, did you change or is that a filter? I was wondering if you changed or is that a filter? Because I want that filter with the shirt and tie.
Changed.
Bill, do we have more people coming in? Yep. Okay.
I think this will be the last one, and we would just ask everyone if you could just mute yourselves unless speaking, that would be great, and perhaps use the raise hand feature, all the Zoom normal, number of folks on here. I'll set
Okay.
you, Charles.
Great. Thank you, Bill. Welcome, everybody, to the meeting of the Norfolk County Advisory Board for Monday, July 10th. I have to read this statement so that we can do this remotely. On Wednesday, March 29th, 2023, Governor Healy signed into law Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, an act making appropriations for fiscal year 2023, which includes a 2-year extension of the option for public bodies to hold remote meetings by suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20. That action was effective immediately, extending the current option for remote meetings through March 31, 2025. So thank you all for being on a July night, a warm summer July evening. And as per our custom, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I welcome you all to join me. If you can mute yourselves, it'll be easier. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. Okay, let's, I'm going to turn it over to Barbara Searle, our clerk, to call the roll.
Okay. Is everybody ready?
Ready?
Okay, all right. Avon,
Here.
Bellingham, Braintree, Brookline,
Here.
Canton,
Present.
Cohasset,
Present.
Dedham,
Present.
Dover, Foxborough, Franklin,
Here.
Holbrook,
Here.
Medfield,
Here.
Medway,
Present.
Millis, Milton,
Here.
Needham,
Here.
Norfolk, Norwood, Plainville,
Here.
Quincy,
Here.
Randolph,
Here.
Sharon, Stoughton, Walpole,
Present.
Wellesley, here, Westwood, Weymouth,
Here.
Rentham.
Present.
Okay,
Kevin
Yes.
Kevin Talpin arrived late, if you want to
Yes.
revisit.
Barbara, would you recall Norfolk?
be happy to. Norfolk,
Here.
okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you all for coming.
I think you want to confirm you have a quorum.
Yes, Phil, can you confirm that we have a quorum? Bill Iantoska, can you confirm our quorum?
Here he comes.
Apparently my mic is not working. We have a 77.31.
Okay, that is 77.31. That's a quorum. Okay. Thank you, Phil. All right. Our first order, I want to acknowledge Patricia Conway, one of our new members here from Holbrook. Thank you, Patricia. I just want to welcome you. And let's see now, if we need to go into executive session. So I'm going to need a motion for that. And I have to state that we need an executive session pursuant to Purpose 3 of Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares. I do declare. So
I'll
if
make
we
a
could have a
motion.
motion for executive session, I would appreciate it.
Motion.
Second,
Second, Milton.
any discussion? Okay, because it is a remote meeting, we have to do all our votes by roll call. Barbara, are you ready?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Avon,
Aye.
Bellingham, Braintree, Brookline,
Aye.
Canton,
Yes.
Cohasset,
Aye.
Dedham,
Aye.
Dover, Foxborough, Franklin,
Yes.
Holbrook,
Aye.
Medfield,
Aye.
Medway,
Yes.
Millis, Milton,
Yes.
Needham,
Aye.
Norfolk,
Aye.
Norwood, Plainville,
Yes.
Quincy,
Yes.
Randolph,
Yes.
Sharon.
Yeah.
Oh, you, okay. Stoughton, Walpole, Walpole?
Yes.
Okay. Wellesley votes yes. Westwood, Weymouth,
Yes.
Rentham.
Aye.
Okay.
That's unanimous.
That's
Um,
unanimous.
We can go into executive session. Okay. Bill, will you take care of the Zoom particulars for that, please?
Yes, I'll just, if everyone can bear with me, I'll let you know when it is appropriate.
Okay. Bill, can I start?
Yes,
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. We're back in open session. And the next item on the agenda is the transfer of county funds. The first item is the Quincy District Court proceeds from the general fund to the capital improvement fund. And I'd like to start, let's start with a motion and then we'll have a second and then we'll have discussion from the Finance Committee, the Commissioner's Office, and questions from the board. Okay, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I will make a motion to transfer $10,400,000 to the County Capital Improvement Fund. Said funds having been recently wired to the county on behalf of the sale of the Francis X. Bellotti District Court to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Okay, is there a second? Thank you very much. Okay, for discussion, let's start. Eric, would you give us the report of the Finance Committee first?
Sure, it'd be my pleasure. So the Finance Committee did discuss this. This transfer has been in discussion quite a lot over the past few months. And this is really just to take the $10 million, put it into the County Capital Improvement Fund for future large projects. So the Finance Committee voted unanimously to move this money.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Shea, would you like to tell us about this?
I would. This is a very pleasant topic, also 5 or 6 years old, but the Commonwealth, the manner in which new court buildings are built is that the Commonwealth calls them justice centers, and they take all of the various functions, whether it be the probate court, superior court, district court, housing court, probation, parole, everything, and put it into one entity. Worcester has a justice center. Springfield has a justice center. Lowell has a justice center. The Great and General Court for the past 5 or 6 years have earmarked Quincy District Court to become a justice center. So the manner in which they do this, they take and buy from the counties the various courthouse. In our case, we started the same legal team that's handling all of our other stuff and has done a great job. And what we thought 5 years ago would never happen has come about, that we have, as of last Friday, accepted the check for 10.4 million, which was the highest and best offer after all the various appraisals were done by licensed appraisers and everything, and negotiations with the state. During that time, the state is going to stay on the same footprint, but they're going to build a new building. So we have accepted and taken the 10.4 million. Actually, last Friday, we received the check after a week of signing back and forth and running around, and everyone did a great job. So this is a seamless transaction. We've taken this money, we've agreed to put it into the account that we have. And the only thing that's going to happen there is eventually that building will be torn down and a new one will be built, and it'll be a state property. We have entered into a separate agreement with DCAM that our maintenance department is going to maintain the building until such time as it's torn down. So we're going to charge them for that work, and they're going to pay us back, which they do in other courthouses that we own. But when it's all done and the new building is built, we will be out of there. The only change will be that the 3 custodians that presently work there will either attrit into, some of them have more seniority than others, into other jobs. So we're pleased as punch to accept this money. We're going to put it to good use. You can't ask me today what we're going to do with it because we don't know right today, but we can't do anything with it without going through the process, and certainly the process of the advisory board. So this vote is required so that the treasurer can take the money and have a separate account for it.
Great.
And we'll go from there. So again, I want to thank everyone, Scott again, and the same legal team. And I want to, quite frankly, all of a sudden, COVID held us up, a lot of other things. And then when we all got together about 8 or 10 months ago, boom, it happened. And it's been a seamless transition. We're very excited about it. It does mean we'll have less buildings, but we'll manage. We can use that money. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you. And I understand that the amount we got was no small negotiation on our part. I understand we did a good job to get that amount of money. Is that correct?
It is correct, and the appraiser that we settled on, that you folks okayed the use of a local real estate appraiser. His appraisal came in at $11 million, and we realized 10.4. So
It's great.
we were pretty excited about it.
It's great. Okay. Are there more questions or discussion from advisory board members on this issue? Diane?
Diane Kennedy from Cohasset. I just had a question about the capital improvement, whether there's a capital improvement plan that links to the capital improvement fund. So
Okay.
we can
All right.
understand sort of what's in the pipeline for capital improvements.
Okay, let me turn that over to the director, John Cronin.
That's an excellent question. The capital improvement fund was just adopted by the county within the last few months. Prior to that, all the funds were located in our general fund. We do have an annual capital appropriation or a capital plan. In the past, it's been anywhere between $1 million and or 500,000 and $1 million. This coming fiscal year 24, the capital plan will be $500,000. Under the direction of the Norfolk County Commissioners, they commissioned a study of operations of the counties a few years ago. The Abrahams Group pointed out that the capital multi-year capital plan needed to be developed by the county for exactly these kinds of purposes. So we created a 5-year capital plan, and we've been drawing upon that over the last couple of years using surplus funds to pay for those various projects. This capital improvement fund is a new instrument. There is current, as Chairman Shea just indicated, there is currently no plan in place to use any of these funds for any capital needs within the county. I suspect over the next several months, the county commissioners will be developing something, but there's been no discussion about that to date. I hope that answers your question.
It does. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Diane. Any other questions?
I have one question, Franklin.
Thank you, Peter. Okay.
and I think we spoke about it earlier today. So
Yeah.
we feel comfortable putting this money all into a dedicated just toward the capital improvement piece as opposed to doing anything other with it. So this sort of puts us on a path that these funds will need to be used for capital improvement and only capital improvement. So in turn, that will free up other funds for us to use in our budget and other matters. Is that correct?
Exactly. I think that's correct.
Possibly, yes, possibly.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I mean, maybe this is a good time, Peter. Thank you for bringing up that issue because I feel like we should give some recognition here to you, Paul Connors, and Joe Reardon, who have worked tirelessly over the last several years as chairman of the Norfolk County Advisory Board to get us to a place where we actually have a really good story to tell now. We are 1.7 million short of completely filling our stabilization fund. We now, with this move, will have a substantial amount in our capital improvement fund. Although we've had to do some belt tightening with some of the economic realities right now with freezing hires, right? Is that correct, John?
Spending freeze.
A spending freeze. We are balanced. We are looking at actually being able to come in with tight budgets, but still come in on a balanced budget. I mean, these are good things for the county to be this solid, and it's gotten there because of all this prior work of the commissioners and Norfolk County Advisory members who've gone before us and have tried to really get us onto solid ground. So I think there's just a really good story here, and this 10.4 million is just another piece of that. I don't know, Mr. Cronin, would you like to add anything to that?
No, I think it's well stated that, with these funds, it places the county in exceptionally strong financial conditions to deal with any large asset/facility needs in the coming years. There's a lot that can be done with 10.4. And I think over the next several months, we should be discussing through the commissioners some ideas and ways to plan for that use.
Great. Okay. All right, Peter, any other points you'd like to make, Peter, on that?
I have a question.
Thank you. This is my question. Thank you.
Okay, who am I missing? Who's
I
trying to?
have a question.
Oh, Steve, thanks.
Yes, it's a kind of a two-part question. Number one, approximately how long do we think the 10.4 million will be on deposit? And number two, where will it be on deposit? Because there are several online banking facilities that have money market and savings 100% accessible, not CD, 100% accessible with interest rates of 4.5%, 5%. So if we deposited $10 million into an online savings account, which has a completely accessible to the funds without any tie-up, like a CD, that would generate very, very significant monthly additional income for the county. And I'm just wondering if any consideration has been given to that.
Okay. All right, Steve, great question. I'm going to give it to John Cronin, our director.
Thank you for the question. I'll call your attention to Mass General Law, Chapter 35, Section 28B, subsection I, and I'll just read it very, very briefly, Steve. It says, "The treasurer shall be the custodian of this fund and may deposit the proceeds in national banks or invest the proceeds by deposit in savings banks, cooperative banks, or in participation units in a combined investment fund under Section 38A of Chapter 29, or invest the same in such securities as are legal for the investment of funds of savings banks under the provisions of Chapter 168, or in federal savings and loan associations situated in the Commonwealth." The short answer to your question is it is defined in general law and is under the control of the county treasurer.
And can I weigh in? It's Mike Bellotti, the county treasurer.
Oh, please, treasurer.
How are you folks? Thank you. Yeah, and that's a consideration, Steve, that we'll make very seriously over the next actually a couple of days. And that's between, Joe, Diori, and I, and we'll talk to the commissioners and John Cronin in terms of how they plan on spending and how quickly and the access they need to it. But it's not lost on us that, with some of our other accounts, which reflect this, hopefully this philosophy that we want to maximize the interest on that amount. And it's somewhat of a function of when and how long the county will want it to sit there and how quick they'll spend it. But we'll make sure that we get, the highest interest rate, but also allow the county to get the money and also secure it so it's not at any risk.
Okay, that's great. I would just hate to see us get,
No, I
Yeah.
appreciate that input. It's a matter of just finding the right
0.5
vehicle.
when 4.5 is out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
And
Thank
we're
you.
on that.
thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments, discussion before we take a vote? Okay, let's vote on this issue. Barbara, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, this is a vote on the motion to transfer 10.4 million to the County Capital Improvement Fund. Said funds having been recently wired to the county on behalf of the sale of the Francis X. Bellotti District Court to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Avon,
Aye.
Bellingham, Braintree, Brookline,
Aye.
Canton,
Yes.
Cohasset,
Yes.
Dedham,
Yes.
Dover, Foxborough,
Aye,
Franklin,
Yes.
Holbrook. Holbrook?
Sorry. Yes.
Okay. Medfield,
Aye.
Medway, Millis, Milton,
Yes.
Needham,
Aye.
Norfolk,
Aye.
Norwood, Plainville,
Yes.
Quincy.
Yes.
Quincy?
Yes.
Okay. Randolph,
Yes.
Stoughton. Sorry, Sharon, missed you, sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Walpole,
Yes.
Wellesley votes yes. Westwood, Weymouth,
Yes.
Rentham,
Yes.
Unanimous.
Unanimous. Thank you, Phil. Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the transfer of deeds excise funds to the county general fund. I'd like to start this discussion with a motion and a second, and then we'll move to discussion. Okay, is there a motion for this?
Madam
So-
Chair, make a motion.
Mr. Connors, you're making this motion.
Motion to move the recommendation of the finance committee.
Okay, all right. Mr. Beckerman, you want to tell us what that finance committee motion is and the finance, maybe we need a second also.
Yep.
Second.
Okay, thank you. All right.
So
Mr.
the
Beckerman, I
motion-
think you're up.
Yep. So thank you, Madam Chair. The motion is to support the county treasurer to transfer $3,825,529.22 from the deeds excise fund to the county general fund restricted account as required by Mass General Law, Chapter 35, Section 28BH. The Finance Committee did meet prior to this meeting, and it was a unanimous vote to support this transfer.
Okay. All right. Can I ask for the commissioners to tell us what you did on this vote as well? What your vote was on this?
The vote was 3-0 at our commissioners meeting today after our executive session with our attorney and then some discussion. We voted 3-0 to recommend this support of moving the money to the treasurer's office.
Okay, all right. Okay, questions and comments?
Question, Franklin?
Thank you, Peter. Yes, please.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
So the notes I got in the minutes show 4,013,897.46. So there's a different amount?
Okay, thank you, Peter. I'm going to send that to Director Cronin to explain the discrepancy. Go ahead.
If you'll note, Mr. Bduler, at the bottom of the page, the figures are subject to modification by the Norfolk County Commissioners. Earlier this morning, the Norfolk County Treasurer's Office updated that figure to the amount shown in the motion just read. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Other questions?
Madam Chair, I just want to clarify one additional thing that the Finance Committee did discuss.
Okay.
Also, this action is to correct and follow the Mass General Law as required. We realize this has not been something that's been done in the past. However, we are fixing a past problem.
Okay, all right.
Can I have the amount again, please?
The amount is $3,825,529.22.
Thank you.
Okay. Other questions from the advisory board? Comments?
Madam Chair, when appropriate, Bill O'Donnell, when it's
Yes.
appropriate.
Yes, Register. I would be happy to give you 5 minutes here to make your comments. Please go right ahead.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. Hello to the members of the board. I hope everyone had a good 4th of July. Again, my first issue is actually, I sent a letter out, Madam Chair. If that letter to you could be incorporated in the minutes of the advisory board meeting as well as the finance committee meeting, I would ask that. And again, the letter went out. We at the registry weren't given the details of the motion. As a matter of fact, I went over to the commissioner's office after public comment and asked, was it about deeds excise for this fiscal year? Was it the deeds excise by law we bring today, the 10th of the month for June? And they said, no, it was dealing with, at the time, we had 4.2 million in that account. This is a registry deeds excise account. And again, I've come to the registry, we've put on internet, we've modernized the registry, we've changed the registry. I'm all for looking at change. But this account has been in existence for over 31 years at the Norfolk County Registry. There's been 2 registers of deeds before me who did a great job, Paul Harold and Barry Hannon. Monies were accrued, and we're not correcting any mistake. This is a deeds excise is through Chapter 64D. And Chapter 64D, Section 12 says that the county gets 60% and the registry gets 40%. So for 31 years, and again, you see the detail, a number of registers, that's why we had this account. Recently, now again, when I went over to the meeting, they brought up this statute. And I just want to be clear and ask the question, we're making this change because under the statute, you're treating this as an appropriation. Is that correct, Madam Chair?
Yes, it is.
So I would just point out for the board's consideration, an appropriation in a budget would be like for printing or paper supplies or something like that. And I recognize that if money isn't spent in a budget, much like your towns, it gets swept back and eventually ends up in the general fund. In this particular case, we have a separate statute. It's Chapter 64D that, again, it's the state legislature has given the registry a revenue stream. Respectfully, this is not an appropriation. It is a revenue stream. And the reason, and when I mentioned 31 years at this county on how it has been set up, it was set up because it reflected Norfolk County's interpretation of the statute, that this is not an appropriation, it's a revenue stream. And the purposes of that revenue stream, again, set by the state legislature, it's for registry purposes. Now, it seems to be evolving. At the commissioners meeting, Commissioner Stady raised it about it was going to be just a set aside and not spent. Then the county director indicated, no, it's subject to appropriation. I just hope you understand this money, and we had it as $4.2 million, was accumulated over 31 years. And it's for registry purposes. It's worked for the registry users. It's worked for the property owners. We've used it at the registry for building renovations and repairs, for modernization initiatives. And quite frankly, I've always considered that money as a rainy day fund if there was a disaster recovery that needed to be done here at the registry for any reason, a fire, a flood, or any business continuity plan, that the monies in this account would not, the registry services wouldn't be interrupted because of the monies in this account. So I just ask people to just recognize that it is Chapter 64D. It's a separate statute than the appropriation statute that's being relied on. My fear is that once the money goes into the general fund, it goes away, somehow with all the spending, that this money, which should be set aside for registry purposes, is suddenly gone. The other point I would make is a lot of us, we've been part of the debate about benchmark counties. Bristol County was selected as a benchmark by the county commissioners. Bristol County has 3 registries. Each registry has a dedicated registry account like Norfolk County has had for 31 years. Each of those registries gets to accumulate the money if there's any extra or any surplus. And I would submit the reason they have those accounts is because that's the law. That's the law under Chapter 64D. The appropriation statute, that to me is apples and the oranges are the 64D statute. And are there going to be any assurances that this money that's been built up over 31 years, it's a sizable amount of money, is that money just going to be spent? I can't spend it currently. It sits at the treasurer's office, and I did send a letter out. I hope you look at the emails. Joe Dioria sent an email out which reflected it was a segregated account. Frank Haggerty, a prior county director, wrote, and it's highlighted in the yellow, that this is a separate account. And he was just reflecting what 3 other registers, three other county directors have done. So this 31 years, they were following the law, and this is a departure from following the law. And respectfully, I think the appropriation, it's not an appropriation.
Thank you very much, Register. Okay.
Yeah,
thank
this
you.
is Mike Bellotti.
Miss
Can I weigh in
Treasurer
shortly?
Bellotti?
Michael Bellotti, yep. So I had a retirement board meeting, so I wasn't privy to what happened today in the commissioners. But Scott Lopez, I've asked him to some capacity also represent me when it came to legal questions, particularly those concerning the ongoing litigation. And Billy is right, the registrar is right, that Bristol County does work in terms of that way. Plymouth doesn't. They interpret a lot differently. And there's only 3 counties really, and I know unless if you don't include Barnstable. So there's no real consensus on this. So I look at it as I have to make a decision with or without these actions. Maybe I've been remiss in not taking a clear position on this, honestly, in light of the fact that it has been 30 years. But I've only been there for 2 years, 2.5 years, and I have to take a fresh look at it. And Scott Lopez has given the commissioners, and through them, I guess, also me, a legal opinion, which I got a couple hours ago, which I've read quickly. So I will look at this. I think the issue, and I don't want to really talk the issues because there's a ongoing legal matter. At the very least, it would be my intent if I did shift that over technically from the Registry of Deeds Fund to a county general fund restricted, would be, and I think this is the intent of the commission, but that nobody would touch that money until that litigation was complete. But besides that, it is an issue of how do you determine what an appropriation is. And I think, I don't want to speak for Scott, he should really talk to this, but we don't want to relitigate something that's being litigated right now. So I will look at all the directives, or at least the language from the Commission Advisory Board, and do what's best for the county. And I think we all intend that nobody touches that money until the case is complete.
Great.
So,
Thank you so much, Treasurer Bellotti.
Okay.
Thank you so much. All right, Eric Beckerman.
Madam Chair, thank you. There's one thing I just want to kind of clarify here. There's a couple things here, actually. One is, and Dr. Cronin or anybody, correct me if I'm wrong here, we're using the word appropriation, which I think is inappropriate, because it's really unexpended balance money, not necessarily the origination of the money. I think is almost irrelevant at this point. The point is that the money that's there is unexpended, and under the law, unexpended money gets put back into the general fund. That's my interpretation of this. That being said, we're not talking about closing the registry deeds account. I mean, the account is still going to exist. Future money still goes into that account, but
Yeah.
following the law, at the end of each fiscal year, the money is supposed to be swept into the general fund. Now, again, understanding what Treasurer Bellotti just said, different counties do it in different ways. Why they do it in different ways, that I can't answer, obviously, but I think we're getting caught up in the word appropriation when it's really unexpended funds over a large period of time. That's the way I'm thinking about it. And on the municipal level, this would never happen. The auditors would pick it up, the money would be swept and put into the general fund, and then dealt with appropriately through a free cash certification process, which I understand doesn't happen on the county level. So I think we just need to keep in mind exactly what we're talking about here.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Becker.
Madam Chair.
Other comments or questions from advisory board members?
Yes,
Go ahead. Who is that?
Tom, please get him.
Thank you, Tom. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've heard, 64D, I've heard 35. I mean, I just want to know what's the big difference between these,
You-
maybe one of the commissioners can answer the question. Somebody mentioned 64D and 35H. Can you give me, explain what these two accounts mean?
Okay, we included both of those relevant
Yeah, I
statutes
got
in your
it.
packet, but Mr. Cronin, can you just tell us very basically the 64D versus 35? Chapter
Sure.
64D refers to what?
64D is the Massachusetts statute that defines the path of funding relevant to registry of deeds, accounts and funds. With respect to chapter 35, Mr. Polito, that is a Mass General law that is relevant to the disposition of funds that remain in accounts. The 64D account does not mention what to do with unspent funds from prior appropriations. Chapter 35 of the Mass General Law assigns that language and directs treasurers in this case to take unspent funds from appropriations and put them in the general fund. So they are differing statutes and appropriations, and I believe Attorney Lopez could add color to that if he needed it, but basically that's how they play.
All right.
One more question, if you could.
Yes.
So basically what Eric said, at the end of every year, the city and towns, I mean, as the former selectman also, this should be treated as free cash, and then the year, anything in that account, every year, we wipe back, we revert it back into the general fund. That's what we're saying today?
Correct.
That's correct. Right. This is year-end housekeeping to move funds that have not been expended.
And
Another
it's something frankly that should have been done a long time ago.
Yeah.
So-
And I was just gonna say the other thing that I think is important to say that the reason there's a deeds excise fund for each registry is because it's statutorily required that there be a deeds excise fund. But that is not the issue that we're talking about. We're talking about balances sitting in an account that should be put back into the general fund that are expenses or appropriations. Yes. Unexpended balances. Yes.
So
Okay.
another question to the commissioners. So the $3.8 million will go into a separate account. So when the lawsuit ever ends, would that be the role of the advisory board to take it out of that account, or the commission just to say where it goes at that point?
The Norfolk County Commissioners can make a recommendation, and it has to be approved by the advisory board like any other financial request.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. I think we're ready for the vote. All right. Barbara, are you ready?
I'm
The
ready.
motion to support the county treasurer to transfer $3,825,529.22 from the deeds excise fund to the county general fund restricted account as required by Mass General Law, Chapter 35, Section 28BH. Okay, Barbara.
Avon,
Aye.
Bellingham, Braintree, Brookline,
Aye.
Canton,
Barbara, hold up. I want to make sure we had a second on that motion at the beginning of before the discussion. Phil? We made the motion before we had the discussion. Let me just make sure we did that before we continue.
Phil can't be heard. Why don't you just start over?
All right, can we just start let's make sure we have a second on that initial motion. All right, will somebody give me the second? Thank you, Chuck. Okay, Chuck Phelan and Quincy, okay. All right, we have a second. Barbara, can you start over one more time? I'm sorry about that.
Not a problem.
All right, thank
Avon,
you.
Aye.
Bellingham, Braintree, Brookline. Brookline,
Yes,
Canton,
Yes.
Cohasset. Cohasset? Okay. Dedham,
Yes.
Dover, Foxborough. Foxborough? Okay. Franklin,
Yes.
Foxborough was an aye. He raised his hand.
okay, sorry, didn't, all right.
Steve, can you say
Holbrook,
that out loud? We have to do a voice vote.
You're muted.
He's muted.
Aye, aye, aye.
okay. All right, Holbrook,
Aye.
Medfield,
Nay.
Medway, Millis, Milton,
Aye.
Needham,
Aye.
Norfolk,
Aye.
Norwood, Plainville,
Yes.
Quincy,
Yes.
Randolph,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
Stoughton, Walpole,
Yes.
Wellesley votes yes. Westwood, Weymouth,
Yes.
Rentham.
Aye.
Okay, let's get our numbers on that. Phil has to run them into us. Because
Can you guys hear me now?
microphone's not working. What is it?
Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you, Phil.
Okay, you can hear, what was Medfield's vote? It was kind of muffled.
It was a yes.
It was a yes. Okay, that is unanimous. And I have 79.75 because a couple people didn't vote.
Hang on a second. I'm not sure Medfield was a yes. Medfield, please. You're a nay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Medfield's no.
Yes.
Okay, so then that is 78.02 yes, 1.73 no.
Okay, the motion passes. Thank you very much, Phil.
Thank you.
Okay, we have just two more items of business, everybody. Actually, we've got, two more items of business, which are the minutes of the open meeting of May 17th, 2023 for approval. Can I have a motion for approval?
Motion
So
approved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. We need to vote this. I'm sorry, Barbara. Here you go again.
Avon,
Aye.
Bellingham, Braintree, Brookline,
Yes.
Canton,
Yes.
Cohasset, Dedham,
Abstain.
abstain. Okay,
I wasn't there.
okay. Dover, Foxborough,
Yes,
Franklin,
Yes.
Holbrook,
Abstain.
Medfield,
Aye.
Medway, Millis, Milton,
Aye.
Needham,
Aye.
Norfolk,
Abstain.
Norwood, Plainville,
Yes.
Quincy,
Yes.
Randolph,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
Stoughton, Walpole,
Yes.
Wellesley votes yes. Westwood, Weymouth,
Abstain.
Rentham,
Abstain.
Phil, can you give us that percentage?
Okay, can I just have one clarification? Franklin, what was Franklin's vote?
It was a yes.
It was a yes. Okay, thank you, Peter. So I have 65.5 yes and 12.71 abstaining.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have one more item of business before adjournment. Could I have a motion for the minutes of the executive session of May 17th, 2023?
So moved.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Steve. Any discussion? Okay, let's vote on this. Barbara?
Avon,
Abstain.
Bellingham, Braintree, Brookline,
Yes.
Canton,
Yes.
Cohasset,
Abstain.
Dedham,
Abstain.
Dover, Foxborough,
Yes.
Franklin,
Yes.
Holbrook, Medfield.
Yes.
Was that Medway as a yes?
Maybe we had to step off.
Okay, Millis, Milton,
Yes.
Needham,
Aye.
Norfolk,
Abstain.
Norwood, Plainville,
Yes.
Quincy,
Yes.
Randolph,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
Stoughton, Walpole. Wellesley is a yes. Westwood, Weymouth,
Abstain.
And Walpole was a
yes.
Walpole was a yes. Okay, sorry. Rentham,
Abstain.
Okay.
Uh,
Bill?
right. Okay, I have 66.48 yes and 13.67 abstaining.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I have no emergency items. Does anybody else? Okay, could I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, thank you. Can we do just a
Vote.
what?
Voice vote.
A voice vote? Okay, we have to do a voice vote. I'm sorry. Okay, Barbara?
one more time. Okay.
One more time.
Avon,
Aye.
Bellingham, Braintree, Brookline,
Yes.
Canton,
Yes.
Cohasset,
Yes.
Dedham,
Yes.
Dover, Foxborough,
Yes.
Franklin,
Yes.
Holbrook,
Yes.
Medfield,
Yes.
Medway, Millis, Milton,
Yes.
Needham,
Aye.
Norfolk,
Aye.
Norwood, Plainville,
Yes.
Quincy,
Yes.
Randolph,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
Stoughton, Walpole.
Yes.
Wellesley votes yes. Westwood, Weymouth,
Yes.
and Rentham.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Yeah, adjourned.
Thank you. We are adjourned. See you in
Thank you,
September,
Deb.
everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
you. Hi, Dr. Charles. Good job.
Bye. Thank you. Thanks for your help.